All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Our first segment, we talked about briefly about WWE SmackDown, how it kind of affects the WWE King and Queen of the Ring event that we're going to get into absolutely right now. But before we move on, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. We get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets on top of all the list so I can read it, so we can talk about it, have a nice little back and forth conversation. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Tell me something you would rather see that's happening in WWE right now, or basically any subject matter in terms of professional wrestling. This put your questions up on top, guys, so we could talk. Definitely would love to hear feedback from you guys. A podcast is only as awesome as the host makes it, and honestly, me as a host, I love being here. I love talking wrestling with you guys, but I'm a guy that loves definitely different perspectives. So if anybody's able to kind of say anything in the chat that kind of makes my brain like kind of the wheels start turning, and we can have a nice little conversation about wrestling and stuff like that, or even give me a shout out where you listening, be like, hey, yo, this is your boy Brett from El Paso, Texas, or something like that. Dude, that'd be cool too. That'd be cool. We'll do a nice little shout out, whatever. Again, this honestly helps to show guys a little peace, love, and positivity at the GSMC Sports Network. Does a body good. Again, the link is at the GSMC podcast.net. So that's going to dig on into this. We have our WWE King and Queen of the Ring review. So let's jump on into it. So let's start it off in the pre-show with the WWE World Women's Tag Team titles. Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae against Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Obviously, throughout the whole match, you saw Belair kind of favoring that knee. Indy Hartwell and LeRae was constantly trying to grab that knee. Even Candice LeRae backstage said that she was she was responsible for how Bianca Belair was eliminated from the Queen of the Ring. And that's probably 1,010% true, because Bianca Belair had the chance. She had the opening to defeat Nia Jax, put her up for the KOD. Her knee gave out because of what Candice LeRae did, earlier. So within a tournament. So you can't, there's not anything, wrong or anything like, disingenuous about that statement. So I thought that was kind of cool how Candice LeRae kind of threw it in her face, creating, kind of being that heel, kind of like, keep, you have to have that person. You have to have that person that irks the crowd, that, just absolutely gets under your skin. And if you look at Candice LeRae, the way she cuts promos, just like what she did back in WWE NXT some odd years ago, like she can get under your skin. She can definitely get under your skin. And now with Indy Hartwell kind of playing by Candice LeRae's rules, in Hartwell trying to find any way to win, even if it includes cheating, if it includes, the brass knucks, if illegal hits, distracting the referee. Indy Hartwell has taken a side. She's on the bad side right now. But I think this is good for them ultimately. So yeah, and then you also saw Jade Cargill's in-ring abilities. And to be honest, Jade Cargill, she's probably one of the most amazing physical specimens in the women's division in WWE. And you have to realize it. Like, if you look at how she wrestles with other people, when you look at her matches, you automatically assume, you're like, oh, dude, Jade Cargill's gonna kick her ass. Like, there's no, it's not gonna be any contest. But throughout the match, Cargill makes her opponent look absolutely amazing. Like, she's able to kind of make it seem like she's going to lose, but she's not. Like, it creates the unpredictability of wrestling, and that's something that Jade Cargill has done really well coming into the WWE. So I absolutely love that. Thought that was pretty badass. She's able to put wrestlers above herself so they can look good. You know what I mean? And I kind of thought about it at the same time, and I knew this. I know this kind of might, throw a little smoke. And like I said, I do not hate Ronda Rousey, but when Ronda Rousey was with the WWE, she kind of had this persona. Obviously, she came from the UFC, so she was very physical, very physical, you know. And she just didn't know how to wrestle. She didn't know how to wrestle. She didn't know how to, play well with others, and she was constantly hurting other superstars. And you have no one really to blame, but Ronda Rousey. I From the get go, when I saw Ronda Rousey fight in the WWE, I knew that she wasn't fit to fight. And people like, oh, UFC, she knows how to fight for real, man. Yeah, dude, cool. Awesome. What do you want? Would you want a thumbs up? What do you want me to be like how great Ronda Rousey's able to fight for real, man? Like that's cool and all, but dude, if you're gonna try to fight in the WWE, I would say, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of scrutiny and backlash about this, it takes a lot more skill to kind of I don't want to say fight choreograph like because it's entertainment. It's entertainment, 110%. So essentially you have to, play to the storyline. You have to constantly be aware of someone's cues. You kind of have to be more ring aware as opposed to like when you're in UFC and boxing where you just like, you just like go at it and stuff like that. So Ronda Rousey definitely was I think she was a huge mistake making her WWE debut. And I know, like I said, might be getting a lot of scrutiny about that. And I do not hate Ronda Rousey. I thought when she came to the WWE could have did a little better promoting her character or perhaps training her. Back then, when she came into the wrestling business, there was not really that much emphasis in women's wrestling. But now, obviously, that has changed. It would have been cool to kind of see her gonna like be in NXT, kind of kind of learn the ropes a little bit. But so is that Ronda's fault? Not really. But did Ronda kind of come out and kind of open her mouth about how WWE is this and that and the other? Yeah, she did. So the moment you do that, you kind of open yourself up to, to criticism. And that's just kind of how. But overall, Jade Cargill is definitely the real deal in terms of WWE. So, and I was thinking about it. Belair was able to pick up the victory, and I thought to myself, I was like, am I being a little bit too harsh about this tag team? I said on this podcast that Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill being the WWE World Women's Tag Team Champions is a mistake. It's a plague in the women's tag team division. And to be honest, I kind of would like to apologize. I feel like I was a bit too harsh. They look amazing together. And they make other superstars in the match look amazing. They're not out there trying to get theirs. They're not trying to be selfish. Oh, I want to show the world how powerful I am. I want to show how dominant we can be. Like you saw Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae put on a really good match against Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill that had the outside perspective that they would absolutely be way out of their league. So for them to kind of do something like that, I think that's great. I think keep these guys together. I think it's going to be great. Definitely 110%. They're able to put on quality matches. That's good for them. All right, kind of moving on. We had the WWE World Women's Championship. You had Becky Lynch against Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan put on a good fight. Loved Mig, loved Liv. Feel like she's getting better. Slowly but surely, she's getting better. Becky Lynch was ultimately undefeated against Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan looked absolutely frustrated throughout the match because Becky Lynch just kept, counter after counter after kick out after kick out. She got her into disarmor. She had her. She had her there. But of course, there, something that I love about Liv Morgan, but at the same time, I kind of want to, why I love Liv Morgan and I love that WWE is trying to push her. But if she cannot win, if she cannot do the things she can do without outside interference, kind of like what Dirty Dom did, got her, got Becky Lynch distracted. It was announced it was announced a couple hours ago that Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch will fight in a steel cage match for the WWE Women's Championship happening. I don't think it's right now. I would say it's probably the main event. I would want to see that in the main event. I can't wait to see it. Um, so those who are watching or those who have already kind of watched, please do not spoil it for me. I will cry right here, right now. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not that emotional. I'm just kidding. But like I said, Dominic slides in the chair to kind of help Becky Lynch win. Dominic Mysterio claims that he will do anything he can to kind of stop Liv Morgan's revenge tour. Ended up aiding her. Ended up, creating the reason why Liv Morgan is our new WWE Women's Tag Team Champion. Liv Morgan, she was able to kind of use the chair. She hit Oblivion with the win. The revenge tour is complete. Liv Morgan, ultimately, the more of the story, the more of this match, the outcome of this match is that Liv Morgan can't win clean. Not that it's bad. I just think that's the ultimate heel. Classic heel in the WWE. Like, obviously, you see Roman Reigns, within the bloodline help him out like a crap ton. And you kind of, that plays to the heel role really, really well. So it's going to be interesting to see in terms of the WWE what they decide to do with Liv Morgan, moving forward, especially in terms of WWE SummerSlam, because you don't have Nia Jax knocking on your door like Bailey does. So, yeah. Next, we see an Intercontinental Championship match. We are, kind of have to try to speed this up. We had Sami Zayn against the Big Bronson Reed against Chad Gable. Chad Gable started getting the "You Suck" chants, which kind of plays to the whole Kurt Angle aspect of it. They kind of had a "then you suck," and then people compare Chad Gable to Kurt Angle on the daily, and I think that's something that's pretty awesome. That's something I was created. I tried creating that narrative like years ago when he was with Alpha Academy, but ultimately Kurt Angle was WWE chose Jason Jordan to be Kurt Angle's illegitimate son. Why wouldn't it have been Chad Gable? Like, that's so weird. But bad writing back in the day. Probably, that was when WWE was starting to, kind of plummet a little bit in terms of writing, where you saw AEW ultimately like being, the new wrestling fad that was pretty awesome to check out. And then once again, you saw the QR code for the Uncle Howdy. Sami Zayn came out looking like a local, dressed like once, like what I said about WWE kind of pandering to the crowds. No one does it better than Sami Zayn. And it was nonstop action. Loved it. You saw the Blue Thunder Bomb on a 340-pound Bronson Reed. He kicked out. You saw Otis take out Bronson Reed, and Otis did not want to talk. He did not want to attack Sami Zayn, but Chad Gable was like, "Hey man, what are you doing? What are you thinking?" And he slaps him, and it's just like, oh, it's to the point, like, it's so sad. And Otis has that, like, that butter face, that baby face that you absolutely feel sorry for. He's like looks like he's about to cry, and you're like, dude, don't do it. If you start freaking crying right now, dude, I don't know what I'm gonna do watching this main event in front of my kids, dude. Like, I might start bawling like a baby as well. But like, it was crazy. It was crazy. I thought it was the kind of the best way to kind of handle this match. I believe that they're trying to save us, the Chad Gable and Otis storyline for SummerSlam. I think ultimately it's gonna unload on the Clash of the Castle. I feel like Chad Gable finds a way to kind of, slither his way into another Intercontinental Championship match. That match ultimately, and it's not by mistake, it's by absolute revenge. It's by absolute trying to stick up for yourself. You're going to see Otis totally screw over Chad Gable for the WWE Intercontinental Championship, setting up a match for WWE SummerSlam. So definitely loves that. Next, we had the Queen of the Ring final, Nia Jax, Lyra Valkyria. There's nothing really much to say about this match. That it was, David versus Goliath kind of story. You saw the ultimate annihilator. Lyra Valkyria was trying to powerbomb Nia Jax to gain an advantage. And then I think this clip kind of went viral all over TikTok. And you saw just Nia Jax come down about like 5 feet onto the chest of Lyra Valkyria, getting the 1, 2, 3. So Nia Jax is our WWE Queen of the Ring, and she has a title shot coming to her against Bailey, or maybe not Bailey, at WWE SummerSlam in Cleveland, Ohio. So I thought that was pretty cool. So now we have the men's King of the Ring match. We have Randy Orton against Gunther. It was a great match. Um, Something that I kind of like seeing. Something that I kind of like seeing, much like you saw with the Tomatonga match on WWE SmackDown with Randy Orton. You kind of saw Randy Orton finally start to bring out some vulnerability against these guys that have been portrayed as like untouchable badasses, so dominant. Like Gunther in his Intercontinental Championship title reign, he's fought some pretty crazy guys. Like, obviously Sheamus is pretty big. Chad Gable, yeah. But you've never seen Gunther fight someone like Randy Orton. You have not. And watching that, you saw a vulnerable state of Gunther, and I liked it. I thought it was kind of cool. I think WWE should definitely start booking Gunther in more matches where he doesn't come off quite as like this dominant force. Because I feel like something that's kind of made Gunther's Intercontinental Championship reign more than the title reign itself, 666 days. It was just like every single match I felt like I watched Gunther in. I felt like it was always like a David versus Goliath story. And it's cool. You can make money off of that. WWE, well, professional wrestling in general, has made money off of that for years, decades, and years on years. And that's just something that, that plays to the crowd. The crowd, obviously, they rooted for Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. They rooted for Chad Gable when he fought a well-fought match on Monday Night Raw against Gunther. But I really like this. I really like to see Gunther kind of get thrown around a little bit. I honestly really like that. It was a roll-up win by Gunther. Randy Orton's shoulder was not down. His left shoulder. His left shoulder was not down. Wasn't clearly down. It was kind of a terrible ending to a good match. It's kind of terrible ending to a good match. Honestly, the way this match kind of ended and the way Gunther kind of won this championship, not championship, this King of the Ring thing, made me ultimately believe that I would have rather saw Jay and Tomatonga kind of fight for this, for this trophy. But that's just me. Next, real quick, WWE Championship. So Logan Paul against Cody Rhodes, and it was nothing, Cody Rhodes did what Cody does best. I feel like the overall, aspect of it was trying to kind of put over Logan Paul as a potential future champion, and he showed that. He showed that 1,010%. The WWE United States champion was very impressive. Couldn't win without trying to cheat. Cody Rhodes ultimately, kicked ass, took names, and he retained his WWE Undisputed Championship. So, guys, do not go anywhere. We have more reviews coming up. We have AEW's Double or Nothing review. We're gonna try to, kind of get this thing a moving. So, hey, don't go anywhere.